Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Squawk and Seas podcast, your favorite Pokemon podcaster's favorite Pokemon podcast. My name is Kyle Cooper Rios. I'm joined as I am every week by my good friend, Mr. George Fabreda, Pony Bottle Champ. Georgie, happy Tuesday. How you doing, buddy?
Yellow. I am exhausted and an exhausted man. I became recently more important at work than I already was or am or whatever. And yeah, dude, my life is over basically. So it's good knowing you. Good to know you.
Yeah, George got a promotion at work, which is very exciting for him. Hi, Marielle. Thank you for stopping by. Have fun at work today.
Hi, Marielle. Can't wait to see you next week.
Yeah, next week. We'll talk about that. Lion season a week, and I'm shitting my pants, but that's beside the fact. Yeah, George got a promotion, so congratulations to you. Are you holding up all right? You want to talk for a second?
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't even want to talk about it because then I'm talking about work and I can't do it anymore. But basically, yeah, I've been overseeing northern New Jersey and all of upstate New York, and now I also oversee Connecticut, all of Connecticut, and New York City and Long Island. So,
for context, George works in sales, by the way. So.
Yes, I'm in sales. Yes, I sell things. I motivate. But yeah, enough about me. How are you doing today, Mr. Cooper?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been. I hate it when you do that.
Mr. Cooper.
George and I have this new running bit where he'll say my gamer tag over and over again, and then I have to keep leaving the room until he gets it out of his system. So, it's just the relationship we have. I'm doing good, though. It's been busy the last couple days at work, so don't really have an explanation as to why, but I had to put out a couple of fires today, so I'm a little burnt out, but we must press on and move on. We had a busy weekend of Pokemon we got to catch up on, a couple of weeks, actually, because we took last week off. George was doing work in Bolivia last week, and by Bolivia, I mean he was sick. So I
was ill. I was very ill, and
George caught a case of Pilates and then was unable to move for the last.
Well, that's a different story. I mean, the cycling was even worse. Still feel like I won't say that.
Hurts to sit. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it because
we're in a bit of bit of a time crunch. George is tired. We got some stuff to talk about, but we'll start with the stuff that no one cares about, which is what we did last weekend. You and I decided to take a venture because it's the end of the competitive cup season is coming to an end, and you and I decided to take a trek down to the Safari Zone in beautiful Smyrna, Delaware, this past weekend at the request of a friend of the show, listener of the show. One of the best Pokemon judges on planet Earth, Mr. Rob Barra. Rob runs the big sanctioned events for the Safari Zone, mostly their cups every quarter. Rob's been trying to get us to go out there for basically the entirety of the competitive season. It just hasn't quite worked out, timing-wise for all of us. There's a picture of all of us on George's screen. I'll put maybe a bigger version of that on when I edit the podcast later. But yeah, we got a carpool of us, including Andrew, friend of the show, Harrell, enemy of the show. We decided to take a carpool down. It was a fun time. George, you want to talk about how your experience was in Safari Zone this week?
I beat your ass round one, and then through the rest of the tournament. I don't know how to play Raging Bolt. I don't know why I played Raging Bolt. I don't know why I listened to our friends. The deck is good. I just don't know what the hell I'm doing with it. But Safari Zone, cool store, big store. They wear guns on their hips at that store, which is interesting to say the least. Who knew? You see the Walmart fights. Bro. Yeah, I mean it's serious out here, and I think Delaware has some different rules than New Jersey. So it's all cool, it's all kosher, but I think Squawk and Seas, the gang, showed out pretty big.
Yeah, we came in and we invaded the place. 3 out of our 3 out of the 8 top 8ers in the cup were our friends. Andrew got top 8 with Mammoth Swine. Harrell got second place with Raging Bolt, and friend of the show, host of the show at a couple of occasions, Miss Emily Lyric of Wisdom Foreman, came out on top. Emily got her first cup win ever.
Yeah.
Over the
so
weekend.
Happy for Emily. She was she was ecstatic.
We curse on the show all the time. Stop it.
Yeah, but then sometimes I do and I feel bad, especially when I'm congratulating somebody. It's no need for the vulgar. But, huge shout out to Emily, Lyric of Wisdom. She's been playing Raging Bolt a lot, and she was definitely the best Raging Bolt in the room that day.
Yeah. And there was a lot of Raging Bolt in the room, too. I also opted to play Raging Bolt, and I had not a fun time playing. I'll just keep it frank. I did not have a great time playing over the weekend. I had a Raging Bolt mirror in you round 1, which I was more mad that we drove 100 miles as a pair into each other, which was, annoying.
That was hilarious.
But it was hilarious. It's great for content. And then I hit 2 poison packages my next 2 games. And one of the games I got donked because I wasn't thinking in my mind to put 2 Pokemon down against a poison deck, which is whatever. And then I just took some bad lines. I just played bad. I just had a bad day. So those are going to happen.
If you have a bad day, you take
and I had one
down. All right.
Yeah. So you said it perfectly. I don't know. I had a bad cup. I didn't feel great about it. I haven't. My competitive season has been washed because I have to work every other weekend. So my ability to go to cups is limited. And I played like crap in every cup I entered this season, and I don't feel great about it. I'm not happy about how I did, but that's beside the fact. I can only.
Are you upset about it?
A little bit, but it's fine.
Okay.
So.
All right.
It happens.
But you did make a friend.
As upset as I am that I didn't, play too hot, which is whatever. I got over it fast. I'm not going to put too much weight into best of 1 Swiss. But George did provide me with the love of my life, which is now Arthur the Slowpoke. This guy is awesome. The Safari Zone is a cool shop. I cannot let that go by the wayside. They have so much product there, both cards and other stuff, including a claw machine that has what I can only assume to be bootleg Pokemon plushies, and some legit Pokemon plushies, but this guy is a little too yellow in the face to be a legit plushie. That being said, still really cool. He's so derpy looking. He's so cute, and I love him to death, and he's the love of my life now, honestly. Andrew knows far too well about claw machines.
We're not aiming for the truck.
Probably one of the best moments captured live on Squawk and C's TV.
All I know is I won the claw machine this time.
Yeah, you were the hero this time around. But the store is cool. Happy the gang did well. If we're doing more show and tell, by the way, I got a basketball jersey in the mail today. Really stoked about it. I got this. It's very appropriate that we're going to New Orleans next week. I got a New Orleans Pelicans Josh Hart jersey. Pretty gas.
Fire.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked about it. It's but yeah.
Are you going undershirt or no undershirt?
No undershirt. I think that's Fed behavior.
You letting the pits breathe?
Yeah, man. I'm trying to I mean this in the nicest way possible. I'm trying to wear as little clothing as possible in New Orleans.
Hey, yo.
I was sweating so much last year. Brother, listen, that's fine. You can run with that. I threw you a fastball down the middle. It's your obligation to swing at it. I understand what I said because I sweat so much, bro. I was sweating so bad last year. I need to make sure that my skin is breathing as much as possible because it was gross.
That's why we have Airbnb with a pool this year.
Yes, and I'm very excited to partake in your pool before you guys even get there. But before we get to that, Safari Zone was cool. Happy to go there. I would definitely go back. George might not come with me, but I will make that drive again. It was a lot of fun. So I like road trips. I like road trips. It's fun.
It was fun so far.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. We had some chicken wings. We watched the Knicks lose. George got to watch me cry. It was cool. So
ate some burgers.
There were some burgers consumed. want to talk about some Pokemon now? Like actual
Yes,
stuff
yes,
today.
please.
All right, so we
yes.
got 2 weekends worth of regionals to talk about. The end of the regional season has come and gone. We're going to talk about the regional in Portland, Oregon last weekend, and the most recent special event in Bologna, Italy, or as the Americans would put it, Bologna, Italy, this past weekend. Let's start with Portland, George, because this is pretty interesting. We had an exact 60 mirror in finals between Michael Davidson, who's quietly put together a very good season this year, top 8 at Worlds, finalist in Louisville, a pretty solid season for someone who I think is still like relatively on the young side. I think last year was his first full season in Masters. Henry, and he stopped the GOAT himself, Henry Chow, from winning a 4th regional this season. It was a very fun back and forth between an exact 60 mirror.
So let me ask you this question. If you had a gun to your head and you said Henry Chow would be in the finals with the exact 60 mirror and lost, well, I guess that's not really making sense in the head, but would you ever believe that?
No. I think I saw an insane stat that local, newly local JW Krewall posted over the weekend. I think during like the run of regionals, that said that like if you're Henry Chow and you go to regional, you have a 57% chance of winning it, given all the regionals you've gone through this season. That's nuts. That's insane work. So I think I will never not bet against Henry because he's always going to have not just he's going to have the best 60 for the event. And if you look at his Limitless page, it's so sick. All Gardevoir, nothing but Gardevoir. He just keeps finding ways to refine this deck and make it fit for exactly the kind of metagame we're playing in. And again, taking his own 60 and putting a spin on it. The biggest thing here is that we have the addition of a Reller and a 1/1 Reller Rabska line. Rabska with the Spherical Shield helps protect against Dragapult, helps protect against probably your worst matchup in Zoroark, or it helps, it helps keep your guys healthy on the bench. As that ability stops damage and the effects of attacks for done to your bench Pokemon.
Not even that. He's also, when you look at his limited page, this guy has made a freaking entry-level teacher's salary this year, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Insane.
I think Chip and Azul said it on their podcast this week, but I think Gardevoir is like creeping up as like one of the first like $1 million earnings decks. Like I think it's going to get really close. Yeah, I mean, granted, like the prize money's much different now than it was like 5 or 6 years, even as it was a few years ago.
It's still relative though, right?
Yeah. It speaks to how good the deck is. All it just needs is a bit of a retooling. And here, not only do you see the Rabska, but you see a heavy count of TM Evo here as well to ensure that you get that Rabska online. You're playing a less of an Arven package and a heavier Disruption and Turbo and discard package so you can draw more naturally into those TM evolutions. There's a lot to like about this list, and you can just see again how it's very rare, I imagine, to see. And again, I'm sure a historian of the game can tell me this that I already don't know. When was the last time that an exact 60 mirror happened in finals of a regional? That's kind of sick. Just from a storytelling perspective, that's awesome.
As crazy as the finals being exact 60 mirror match, I don't even think that was the talk of the town of this tournament, though. Because if we look at the top 8, nothing really sticks out to you that, you're really worth talking about. Got your usual characters here. Raging Bolt, Terror Box, Little Eevee Box, Dragapult's in there. But let's go down to number 12 with Ray Shen. Little Toadscruel action. What'd you think of that deck, Kyle?
I got to go back and watch the stream match against this. Ray played against LAIC champion Miloslav Posledny this past year, and Miloslav looked like he just found God for the first time. Like the man, if I'm sitting across someone playing a Toadscruel, and I see them flip it over, I'm folding so fast, man. This deck is very interesting. Obviously, it's got that protective mycelium ability, which prevents the effects of attacks used by your opponent's Pokemon done to all of your Pokemon that have energy attached. So you play a thick line of Toadscruel EX. You play a full 4 Teal Mask Ogrepon, to get those energies into play. You play a full 4 of Energy Switch, so that way you can just spread that energy amongst your entire board, and then Dragapult's damage is completely irrelevant. And and its attack's pretty decent too.
Yeah, complete bench barrier to every Pokemon you have in play as long as you get energy on there. And then, of course, when you're playing so many Teal Mass Ogrepons, that's going to be easy to do. Like you mentioned, little energy switches here and there to spread that out. And then you look at its attack for double grass, 80 plus 40 more damage on Colony Rush for each bench Pokemon that has a grass energy attached. Couple that with a little Area Zero. I mean, if you could get all that energy in play, we're talking about 400 damage being dealt out. 8 times 40, 320 plus 80 could do a maximum of 400 damage. So it's really knocking out anything in the meta. Now, how often are you doing that? Not often. But do you have to do it every single time? No, the math works out great. Because if you have 5 there, you're doing 200 plus the 80 damage. You're knocking out most EXs. 280 HP is a number that you want to hit most of the times. And then, for 2 more, if you could get 6 down with energy there, you're knocking out most of the big stage 2s, doing 360. So, actually very powerful attack, underrated attack in my opinion.
Yeah, this is a card that I feel like has just kind of been like a middling EX card since this came out. This card's been out since Obsidian Flames. Came out in the same set as Charizard and Pidgeot, so like obviously comparatively power level wise, it's gonna not look great. But in a situation like this where you have someone that's a really good deck builder, obviously Ray saw something in this that nobody else did. It's able to hit relevant numbers. 280 is like what the old 220 used to be when you were fighting against like Vs and V stars. So if you're able to hit that relatively consistently, you give yourself a good play into a lot of the field.
You know what's to be said about it too, Kyle? I don't know if you remember on live, this card first came out, it was completely glitched and no one could play it. I think that kind of ruined the trajectory of this card as well.
Yeah, I think I do remember that actually. Now that you mention it, unfortunately, this card, hasn't seen the light and success it needs to. And also, you played a Slime Mold Colony Toadscruel, which is really very situational, but good in the decks that will want to get stuff out of their discard pile. Mainly stuff like you can't, Night Stretcher stuff out. You can't Gardevoir can't get energy out of the discard pile.
Was a big played card during the Regidrago meta. Obviously, not being able to use Regidrago's V-Star ability. Legacy Star, thank you. But what also I think is not doing it any favors? Such a gross-looking card.
It is kind of nasty.
The green is so gross looking, and it's just got all those tentacles and
and it's just kind of peeping. Bro's peeping, bro. He's just kind of hiding behind that tree.
Yeah, he's definitely.
Have you ever seen a picture
side eye?
Have you ever seen a picture I forget what's the name of the guy, but a guy who's standing behind a tree rubbing his hands? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I
Toadscruel's got that energy in that card.
Like this,
Toadscruel's got that energy, man.
Yeah, he's definitely a freak. Yeah,
definitely the coolest deck in top in asymmetrical cut. I think at one point started 8-0, 9-0. So cool stuff. Very very, very fun to watch. I love end of format tournaments for this reason, because you think everything's figured out, and then somebody's going to come through and do something crazy.
Smack you in the face with something different. Everything else, dude, pretty chalked. Only thing of note was Joltik Box really underperformed. The top deck finished, I believe I'm looking at it correctly, 19th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
19th for the best finishing of one of those decks. Joltik Box. Scrolling down even further, there's a top 64 Dragapult Charizard, which is interesting. That's a deck archetype that's been seen some play.
There's one before that, though. Yeah,
was there? Did I miss one?
Yeah, 15.
Okay, so top 16. So.
Yeah.
Oh, Jackson Ford. Oh, yeah, Jackson's having an insane season this year. He's like the Charizard Whisperer. He's crushing it this season. So
And then you got a little Hydreigon in there to finish out the top 64, which deck is interesting.
You hate that deck.
I hate it so much. Little Lily's Clefairy in there, though. Nice little tech. Help with the Dragapult matchup, I'm assuming. Probably Raging Bolt as well.
The big thing for me, the only thing I want to note here is that Goldengo, once again, falling flat on its face. I think this deck has been kind of like squeezed out of the meta because I think EV Box has become so popular.
And Genesect is a complete cop.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both those things that has like made this deck kind of fall flat on its face, which is sad for someone like me because I think the deck is very fun, but the room is just not very kind to it. So that's a deck that's kind of fallen out of favor. Was the second highest played deck like meta share wise, if looking at limitless numbers, but has since fallen down into fourth instead. So
yeah.
Cool stuff overall. Good stuff for Michael Davidson. Undefeated record, by the way. Only tied 3 times, so cannot scoff at that either. Hell of a run. Love to see it. So,
yeah. And then we also had another major that we missed. Well, I guess it was actually over this weekend, so we didn't miss talking about it. The special event in Bologna, I believe it's pronounced.
Bologna.
Bologna?
Yeah,
no, I'm
Bologna.
just kidding. Yeah.
You like bologna? Are you a bologna guy?
I mean, I don't remember the last time I ate bologna, but if you put some bologna with a little American cheese on some white bread, little mayo, I'm fucking crushing that, dude.
Give me a little fried bologna. Oh, hell
Maybe
yeah, brother.
Little mustard and mayo action on there. Hell yeah, brother.
Oh, hell yeah, brother.
Wow. But yeah, interesting tournament. Not the victor anybody would have called out, I don't think, in Raging Bolt.
No.
Simon, well, not Raging Bolt, Roaring Moon. Sorry, excuse me. Simon Sean.
It's Swedish, so.
Yeah, I don't know words, but interesting list. It's got that Koraidon that I told you a long time ago. This card is best played in Roaring Moon. Kyle, you ever notice that? Sometimes I just look at cards and I just be knowing shit, man.
You just be saying shit, bro. You just be saying
shit, and like sometimes it's right. But, at the end of the day, I don't get how I know these things, and I'm still just a piss poor player, You would think I would be a better player. But anyhow, it's really just a poison package deck that we're looking at here.
Yeah.
2 of the baby Petrons with the Petron EX. Only 2 Roaring Moon EX. The Koraidon I talked about. All your typical support Pokemon and Mew EX, Squawk. Obviously, if it's a Latias EX, and then obviously if it's a poison package, the Brute Bonnet. And then, a little mix of Ursaluna, which, a lot of these kind of decks need that consistency. It reminded me a lot like Kyle. Basically, what Roaring Moon was in pre-rotation, before we are in the current format that we're at, where we have the energy switch, because it kind of works the same way as the Moltres V, where you can Professor Sada's to the Brute Bonnet and then energy switch off of that. So you technically could get a Roaring Moon powered up in one turn if you had 2 dark energies in your discard, because you could go Sadas, hit the 2 ancient Pokemon you have in play, the Brute Bonnet and the Roaring Moon, attach for turn, energy switch that off, and then, of course, move with your Petron. Big MVP of this deck is actually the Ancient Booster Capsules. Playing 4 of them, they're not just a poison. You actually are able to move into the active and move freely with the Ancient Booster, because you won't get poisoned and you will have no downside of that. So, pretty interesting architect. I had a feeling someone was going to come up with something good, Roaring Moon. I've felt like this card has been undervalued for a while. But I think, Simon, he played it masterfully.
Yeah, I think a big thing going into rotation that kind of hurt this deck was a couple things. Number one, losing Radiant Greninja was a huge loss for this deck, as it was for everybody. But having the option to, you saw it near the end of before everything rotated, you were seeing these lists are playing Scramble Switch and water energy packages to utilize Radiant Greninja as an attacker, which everyone knows how good that's been. But something that kind of went by the wayside is the rotation of Dark Patch, which I think really hurt this deck's ability to set up an attacker in one turn. And you're seeing that Energy Switch is kind of doing, is kind of filling that void. Now, granted, you still have to deal with Badulok, but you also play, like you mentioned, the Baby Petulant. You play 3 copies of the Perilous Jungle. So you can do, being able to take KOs without proccing Pheasantipity is something that a lot of decks don't have the luxury of having. And this worked out really good. For Simon, so getting what I would imagine is like not a terrible matchup in finals either against Gardevoir. Obviously having all these Darkness attackers that can take advantage of Darkness weakness on Gardevoir EX is pretty sick. So I'm into this. Also, the Secret Box as an ace spec is a fun choice. Obviously, when you play the Perilous Jungle, why not? I dig it. I like this. I like this deck archetype a lot.
I think I said this in our group chat too. I think right now, for me at least, and I would love to hear your thoughts on it, aspect wise, I think we're really just looking at Secret Box number 1, Prime Catcher number 2, tied for 3rd for the rest. I mean, obviously there's some a little bit better or worse, but for the most part, those are really your 2 aspects that you want to play in most decks right now.
Yeah, nope, it makes a lot of sense, as you would. The price is also speaking for Secret Box as well. I think this card's almost $20 right now online, so everybody's really
$20 exactly. Yeah.
Everybody's seeing really how good this deck is. Also, just a quick note on Simon. He played Roaring Moon to the most recent, the last special event that happened a couple weeks ago in Utrecht, and just missed out on top 8 in that. Almost playing the exact same list. I'm curious what the other 2 card differences is, but either way, Roaring Moon is a deck archetype that I think might be getting a little bit of steam here. It's a fun deck, George.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I've always enjoyed playing. Played it to a regional once in Charlotte.
I might play this to League tomorrow. I don't know. I'm feeling freaky.
Well, I'm feeling a little freaky.
Feeling a froggy, bro.
Yeah. So I mean, listen. Let's cut to the chase here. Going down here, I'm only seeing in top 64 one outlier. That's one Goldengo. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, we could talk about it. This is an interesting choice here. I believe we're looking at the top, just outside of top 16. There's your boy, by the way, in top 16, exactly, by the way, with Hydreigon, so.
Why do you always got to bring this up to me? Why do you hate me? I don't get it. Is he still playing the same freaking list, dude?
I don't think he's playing the same list. I think he's definitely still playing.
Oh no, it's different now. He's playing Dunsparce and Genesect and Badoo. It's even more of a cop deck now.
Kind of an insane Limitless page here from Nettie. Going from playing Lugia. There's a spell with Snorlax in there. Reggie Drago V-Star, and 3 straight regionals.
We give this guy way too much flowers on this show just because he knocked me out at UIC.
I think Hydreigon's cool. It just happens you were a casualty on the way there, which is sad. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about Goldengo. This list is interesting. Again, I liked the inclusion. We are abandoning the Dragapult package here, and instead going for a 1/1 line of Scyther Scissor. You play the Iron Bundle in here, which is a card that's come in and out of this deck before. I think having that extra push is nice in a deck that doesn't play a lot of gusting options. The Genesect has proven to be a Federal Agent. That card's really good. It helps you in the mirror, helps you against a lot of decks that want to put down that A-Spec early. So if you can establish this early, you force decks to have to engage with it. So I like that. You play the Vengeful Punch. Obviously, you're most likely going to be committing that to the Genesect. There are board states where you can put Jamming Tower down and attach a TM Evo to the Genesect and it doesn't dislodge it. So,
well, you need it for Pikachu too, right?
You do, yeah. You mostly that tool has is flexibility where you're gonna put it on a Goldengo to where you break through the Resolute Heart. But in most instances, it's probably just gonna be sitting there as something that your Genesect can hold on to. That's not just a TM evolution. So, other than that, it's pretty chalk stuff. 2 Counter Catcher, 2 Night Stretcher, 1 Earthen Vessel. I dig it. Again, I think Goldengo, if you have to have some pretty decent bracket luck. Because with the popularity of Joltik Box, it does make your Goldengo not as safe of a choice. And if you look at Alberto's Limitless page here for the tournament, he hit 1 Eevee box and he lost. So that matchup is bad. So if you can dodge that, you're probably in good shape. So
Yeah. Oh, listen. I mean, I think the special event was good. There was one big throw that happened that I know we were talking about earlier in our group chat.
Yeah, Ricardo and Fabrizio.
Yeah,
it was tough.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, for those who haven't seen it yet, please go back and watch it. And I think you could just learn a lot from situations in a game. He knew what he had to do, and he just could not get there. I mean, grabbing counter catcher and what was it? He just needed to grab counter catcher.
So yeah, he needed
scouting for Ursaluna, and he just has game, and you just hear who was it? Jesper and Joe Bernard just like giggling the whole entire way in disbelief that this man did not see the line. And it's just so crazy because you don't see a lot of the times, players in top 4 making ill-advised moves like that, just missing the obvious play. And everybody's sitting at home. I remember I was in bed watching it, and I'm just like, dude, what? Like, it's so obvious. And he has the card in the front of the deck. And you're like, what are you thinking about? Just grab it. It was truly insane.
Yeah, it's easy to play armchair quarterback, watching from home. And even like Joe and Jesper made sure to point out on the stream, like, listen, this is kind of like a crazy line of play, but like you can see the wheels turning. You saw that Fabrizio like kind of thought like once or twice, like, no, like I know what I have to do here. I just don't know what way I have, just like what's the right way to go about it. And I just unfortunately didn't have the juice to get there. But again, playing on stream is hard, man. We from all of our friends we talk to, the white noise that's getting pumped into your ears while you're playing. The pace at which you play on stream is different. Something that I noticed, like I think this happened maybe a couple of regionals ago. I don't remember what, but you'll notice sometimes you'll see players like when you're playing like weekly or like IRL, they'll take shortcuts. Like you'll like play down all your search cards at once, or you'll play down like 2 nest ball, like a nest ball and a buddy poffin to do all your searching at once. On stream, they tell you not to do that. I feel it's from what I've been told from other people. They really want you to like show the steps of everything that you're doing. Somebody put down both of their, I think it was a Goldengo deck. They put down both of their superior energy retrievals at once to try to discard like everything at once. And
they said that one card was discarded.
Well, yeah. Well, and the judge was like, "Hey, listen, like I understand what you're trying to do, but just like it could be conceived as you're discarding your other superior energy retrieval off the first one." So it's like they really want you to. It's like how you used to tell you in school to show your work when you did something. Like they really want you to like draw that out. So I can understand it's a different environment to be put in. I would probably make that same mistake, honestly, but that was tough to watch.
I actually have taught myself to just play one action at a time, just in case anyway. I mean, when you play in a lot of regionals, you just don't want to lose on something silly like that, and it would just feel really bad having a judge call there and you getting like sharked on one of those things. So, if you're going to play a nest ball, then a buddy poffin, just put all the cards in your deck in front of them and play the one card at a time, and then just know you're going back in. It's fine. Just take your time, slow down.
We need to get a DoorDash sponsorship, man. It would be cool if we both wore DoorDash shirts. Kind of dig it.
I don't really look good in red, but sure.
I have a DoorDash hat that Mariel is keeping custody of. It's a nice little beanie.
I DoorDash dinner today. Nice. And I saved on fees with Dash Pass.
Dash Pass. Shout out Dash Pass, my goat. I've saved so much money ordering banh mi sandwiches.
Dude, I had Chipotle tonight. I don't think I've ever eaten anything in my life as fast as I ate that. So it was fantastic. All right. That being said, after our DoorDash segment there, please sponsor us. Let's transition here, Kyle, now into some lists. Like, let's use this as a reference here. Looking at the top here, Roaring Moon, just winning the last major, going into NAIC. I think it's a good time to transition. What decks do we believe will be good in this NAIC format now that it's only about basically a week away?
By the time you get this podcast, it'll be less than a week. This time next week, I'll be getting ready to go to New Orleans. So, needless to say, no podcast next week. We're going to be in New Orleans. But That being said,
we could do it Tuesday.
we can try. I'm not gonna. It's not gonna get out in time. I'm flying out Wednesday. Remember, so
Okay, I'm fine with it.
yeah, we'll figure it out.
I'm a slacker.
Yes, you are, and it's Watchtower go burr. Yeah, we'll talk about all that. We talked about like I think the pod live for Nola. Absolutely not. I'm good, man. That being said, a lot of what seems good right now, I think a lot of our theories seem to hold true.
Pod live from poolside might be cool though, Kyle. Sorry, God.
We'll see what happens. I can't promise you anything. That being said, I think a lot of everybody's theories so far are holding true. Destin Rivals came out on put TCG Live last weekend, so now we're all really starting to get our hands on like the new stuff. I'm just going to talk strictly about like the new archetypes we're getting in here, cards that I think are going to be impactful, because I feel like a lot of the field's going to be chalk. Like people are going to see a Roaring Moon list and be like, "Yeah, that one. I want that one. I want to play that. I want to play that." Because that deck has like its own devout league of super freaks. Me being one of them. I love Roaring Moon, but I think a lot of what's good right now is still going to be good next format, given a couple different bells and whistles. So the first two cards I want to talk about are two cards I think are going to see the most play at the top, which are Shaman and Team Rocket's Watchtower as the most splashable cards. Those cards, I think Watchtower definitely has lived up to the hype of a card that's good. Yep. Just having something to shut down what is the best engine in the game right now. You see how many decks are playing the Terra search engine with Noctowl. I think just being able to cut off access to that is very, very strong. As we'll see how the other decks adjust to that. And I think Shaman, while I don't think it's going to be as impactful, because something about like if you're a deck that's going to play Shaman, which is seeing play in Gardevoir, it's seeing play in Dragapult. Any deck that's going to play like a small guys that you don't want to get bench sniped. Something about committing a nest ball to Shaman just feels awful. So I don't know how impactful that deck's how impactful it will be. But
yep.
I think those two, at least in the front of my mind of just like support cards, I think are really good. Do you have anything else you want to add to the table?
Yeah, I mean, like I'll talk about Shaman a little bit. I think Shaman, a lot of people didn't realize when the card was printed that it's only your basic Pokemon that it's actually protecting from bench sniping. So it actually doesn't really help a lot in some scenarios. Like you still can get pretty burned by Screamtail. So I don't know how impactful Shaman's going to be. Also, though, on the flip side...
it's just real quick. It's to prevent all damage done to your benched Pokemon that don't have rule boxes. So.
That don't have rule boxes. That's what it is.
Don't have rule boxes, yeah. Just want to make sure we...
Yes. See, I still don't know what it does. But, yeah, like, it doesn't protect Pheasantipity from getting sniped by Screamtail, And
yeah.
I think, though, on the flip side of that card is still going to be heavily played at NAIC.
Yeah.
I still think the effect of the ability is strong enough where it's a necessity for a lot of decks to get their setup in order, right? I think another card printed, and I see the chat speaking about it, Watchtower, right? There's so many decks right now that you could play a one of Watchtower and completely ruin his day at the end of a game.
Yeah.
This frenzy of, we spoke about it earlier, Blood Moon Ursaluna being that consistency factor at the end of the games for some of these decks that need a lot of energy to power up, and you're able to just swing freely for no energy or maybe just energy. Watchtower is just taking that away. And then obviously if you could get out early for a setup, Fan Rotom decks, EV Box, someone said in the chat as well, those decks are going to be heavily shut down with Watchtower. The archetype that, for me, that surprised me the most in testing so far, Kyle, and I think you would agree, is the Marnie's Grimmsnarl. Only doing 180 damage, but the power with Monkey Dory and Frostlass combined with the 30 added to the bench, sniping, like, kind of scary.
Yeah, in terms of like the two attacking decks, so like the two new archetypes we're probably going to see, one of them is definitely Marnie's Grimmsnarl. Like you mentioned, that deck utilizes one of the best Pokemon in the game without realizing it in Monkey Dory. You know, being able to just get all your energy attached with an evolution, and then you can just commit your energy attachments to Monkey Dory, and then just move all this damage off. You know, to help correct your math. Again, you can. That burn damage, adds up over time. You can take 3-4 prize turns, very quickly. The other card I want to mention that has actually surprised me in testing is Ethan's Typhlosion.
Yes,
I mentioned it earlier how like 280 is now the new 220 of like the golden number that decks really want to hit if you want to be considered like a decent card. 280 knocks out close to almost everything. This card absolutely is insane into the things that it's good into, whether it's been by itself or as a secondary attacker in other decks. The deck that I've been seeing this played most commonly in is with the Dunsparce EX, which is a scarily strong deck because you play 0 Pokemon EX in that deck. So you are a genuine to-the-T single prize deck, which we haven't seen in a long time. And then you're a single prize deck that hits relevant numbers very, very quickly. I was able to, both in real life games, I was playing against people. Harrell has been playing this deck on the side, that card on the side, and also playing it on live. Getting 3-4 Ethans in the discard, like, in the first couple turns is not hard at all. And that damage does not scale down in any capacity. So I think that deck it might be a while before that deck actually catches on. There's some cards coming out in the next set, Black Bolt and White Flare, that I think increase the appeal of single prize decks. But as this card stands right now, in terms of the trainer Pokemon, I think this is definitely the best one. That card is real and it's scary.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see somebody show up with NIC with, a Ethan's box type deck, maybe even with the Slugma as well. Having like a pure one prizer, like you mentioned, Dunsparce being the engine, and then using Legacy Energy as its aspect. Because if you're already a one prizer and I can also attach Legacy and make to a Typhlosion, it's really hard to knock out with any kind of damage to not trigger that Legacy Energy. And now I'll make you go through 7 Pokemon instead of 6.
And I will say, I think a good strength to this deck right now is that Dusknoir decks feel like that they're going down in play. Straight Bolt is seeing a higher play than Dragapult Dusknoir. The only other deck that plays Dusknoir is Charizard, and that deck has kind of been, middling in results. Don't
talk about my baby.
I gotta bring it up in this context. So I think that was the biggest problem for a deck like that is that Dusknoir just blowing up your board. We don't have access to Psyduck. We might not have Psyduck for a while anyway. So that was a big concern in most people's minds. But I think the deck has proven it's got enough firepower to survive on its own. So I'm excited to see. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that somebody gets top 16 with an Easton Typhlosion deck. I'll go out on a limb, it's crazy, and say that.
It's a very bold take, and I'd be really foolish to sit here and say I can't see a way that it happens, because I kind of agree.
And I'll tell you who sucks. This guy, Mewtwo, is awful. That card sucks. Give him a couple.
I don't think it's that bad.
It's not terrible. I just think the room that it walked into is not good. There's two, Grimmsnarl's already bad enough, but then you have now Roaring Moon's coming back in popularity. So being a dark weak big basic Pokemon is just not a great spot to be in right now, and you're damage capped. So you can only really do so much about that. The Rocket's engine in itself is cool. The Spidops is really cool. The supporter line is really cool. The stadium that lets you draw cards after playing a supporter. It's really cool.
Stadiums are broken. Yeah.
The engine itself is nuts. The Pokemon are just kind of mediocre, which is, I think, a very fair drawback. But I don't know. Somebody's gonna get, someone's gonna have a Dragapult only run that decided to lock in Mewtwo, and they're gonna go 12-0 in Swiss or whatever. I could see that happening also. But it's gonna be a big tournament, so someone's gonna go far with this deck. I'm sure someone's gonna figure something out that we already don't know. But Before we go to the Squawk and Seas, you want to give any thoughts on like where your head's at going into the weekend? Like, do you know what you want to play? Do you know what you're
I'm playing Charizard. I'm just playing Charizard. I mean, it's just been what I've been playing all season. Atlanta, I played Guardy. I tied a lot. I think that was the only tournament I haven't played Charizard at. Listen, I'm a one-trick pony. It is what it is. I got to play it.
The one-trick pony bottle champ, baby.
The one-trick pony bottle champ. But, you brought up an interesting point with the Dusk line. I do think Dusknoir is going to be a big factor in this tournament moving forward in NAIC because, like you said, without Psyduck being printed, I think you got to abuse the Dusk line early and often and late game. And I think Briar is really busted right now, man. You kind of saw the power of it too, playing some EV Box over the weekend and last night.
Yeah, I did a little bit of testing with EV Box last night to see if it was maybe like something I could consider. I don't think I'm gonna. The last time I did this, I felt bad about it, where I just like switched decks at the 11th hour. I'm not doing that to myself this time, so I'm probably gonna play Raging Bolt. We'll see if Shaman decides to ruin my day or not, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But the Terror Box engine is good. I think, and even then, like as good as a card as Watchtower is, I think the decks that already play the Knockdown engine still have enough like foundation to where they can do other stuff where they don't need to knock down. Like EV powers itself up, so you're always going to have attackers online in some capacity. Raging Bolt has draw both in Sada and energy acceleration with Sada, so like you're still able to get off the ground for the most part. It's really in those endgame scenarios where that stadium sticking might cause you some problems, like you said. But we'll see. I reserve the right to change my mind until now. In the end of the week, I can play Great Tusk Mill by the end of this all. Who knows? I'm crazy. So
you won't.
I won't. I had decks for feds. That being said, any other thoughts on NAIC before we Squawk and Season this week?
I think we just Squawk and Season, man. I think we've been talking about NAIC a lot throughout these tournament thing, and it's just time to do the damn thing. It's here.
Yeah. Win or lose, we're gonna have fun. That's all that we're looking
that's
forward
for
to
sure.
doing. So we're gonna have a grand old time. I gotta find a suitcase that fits all my stuff. So we're going to do a Squawk and Seas this week. This is what I thought was kind of fun, given the context of what we're doing next week. We're going to Squawk or Seas things to do while on vacation. George is taking PTO for the first time in his life. I'm taking an extended vacation. I'm staying in New Orleans for almost a week. So I'm really excited. George, do you remember the last time you went on a legitimate vacation?
I guess, like, when I went to London, kind of.
I guess that kind of counts. Rough destination spot, given the time of the year that you went, but...
Yeah, I mean, it was only 5 days. I don't know, like, when you're saying the last time I took a week off?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I do that.
This is my first legitimate vacation, I think, like, 10-plus years. Non-working vacation.
That's crazy. Oh, no. Like, 3 years ago, I went to Waikiki for 10 days.
Nice.
So,
cool.
Yeah, that was the last time.
All right. I will open the floor of questioning here for Squawk or Seas, Mr. Fabre, with what's my favorite thing to do when I'm on vacation. Are we going to Squawk or Seas people watching?
Believe it or not, I don't really give a shit about anything that's going around me. You probably could believe that. A lot of people maybe are like, wow. It sounds really bad when I say that out loud, actually. Like, I really just don't care about. But I am kind of a floof in that sense. So, I don't know if I want to Squawk or Seize that. I think I want to seize that. I don't think I really care. Like, what do you say? Like, you're like, I'll check out this guy here. Like,
yeah, I love mess. All right, I love messy people that aren't me. So, like, I love going on, like, destination spots, tourist trap spots, and just watching somebody who's, like, very clearly been drinking since, like, 9 in the morning and has, like, no control of the volume of their voice. Or, like, I just love watching, like, mess like that. So, I'm a bit of a chismosa in that regard.
Yeah, I wouldn't say you're alone either. I'm not a big, quote-unquote, get a look at this guy type of person, Yeah, I'm going to seize that one. That's not that's not up there for me. I'd rather be in the moment with friends, I think, and worry about what's going on otherwise.
That's so sweet. Maybe I'm an asshole. Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe I'm the asshole. And
how about we both? We're both the asshole. How about that?
Yeah. All right. So obviously, if you know me even a tad bit, you would know that this is my favorite thing to do on a vacation, and that is going out to a really nice dinner. So Squawker sees going out to dinner that is a little elevated.
I'll squawk it. I agree. I think this is something that, like, you know, George, as someone that's in the inner circle of Mr. Fabre, whenever we go out to these regional events, George will usually organize like a dinner for like the very close group of friends that we have. You know, to go out to a nice spot at least once. You know, we eat a lot of Applebee's. We eat a lot of chicken wings, and I think it's good for us to go out and, like, you know, treat ourselves, let loose a little bit. You know, have fun in a nice restaurant. The place we went to last year in New Orleans was an interesting experience, but the restaurant was really nice. Granted, I was like fresh off of stomach surgery, so like food was kind of a foreign concept to me, and I wasn't sure what I was going to be able to stomach and eat or not. I still had a great time though, so it was a lot of fun. So I'll squawk it. I'll give it a squawk.
Nice.
Dinner's fun. I'm into it. All right. Let's see. How about I'm gonna submit to the council here. Squawk or seize. Being a tourist in a city, you know, sightseeing. Are we gonna? How are we feeling about that? So.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain things when you go to a city, especially in the United States, that like they're known for, and you kind of, it's like, did you even really go there if you didn't go see it? So I would definitely squawk that. That being said, okay, there is certain things that I really don't give a shit about. So like when we were in London, people were like, "Oh, we should go see Big Ben." I'm like, I can see it right from here, like, going down the street.
You know also, Bird for Brains, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it.
You get what I'm saying, though? Like, there's certain things that, like, I don't need to be right next to it to be like, oh, wow, cool, you know? But, like, New Orleans last year, like, going, like, I guess it's not really sightseeing. It's like we went to Cafe du Monde, right? Like,
yes.
That's a historic place, and, like, as overrated as it is, I would have been pissed if we didn't go. You know what I mean? So I'm squawking, sightseeing, you know. Yeah, like there's just certain things you have to do when you visit a city.
Yeah, I'm into that. I'll squawk that also. Again, like you don't have to do everything when you go to like a touristy city. Sometimes we don't stay in these places enough to do everything we want to do, which is unfortunate. So I'm very much looking forward to being a tourist. Granted, and yeah, Toussaint said it in the chat. I wanted to go to listen to live music so bad last year, but we just did not have time in our schedule to make it work. This year, we're amending that. I'm making sure that we go somewhere to listen to some music.
Well, that's why I picked the restaurant that I did, because it's near. I have a spot that my friend gave me, came highly recommended for live music nearby. So.
Yeah,
your wish will be granted, sir.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I'll squawk it. I'm actually my Marielle will be going while we're playing at some point on Saturday. She's going to be going on a swamp tour. So
fun.
Yeah, she's going to get to feed alligators while I'm bricking against Raging Bolt. So yeah, so that stuff like that's fun. You know, seeing the culture. I'm a big museum guy. I like museums. I think that'll be fun. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, common theme on the podcast, on the vlogs, right? Seems to be a lot of places that we go to for these regionals have some outstanding aquariums. I actually, believe it or not, even when I was in... excuse me. Even when I was in... Oh, sorry about that. Even I don't know what happened. When I was in Hawaii, like I mentioned before, when this is Waikiki, I even went to the Honolulu. I friggin' love aquariums. I don't know why. I think it's mainly for me because it's like nothing you could see like in everyday walk of life, because we're not just like in the friggin' ocean. You know what I mean? These are things that you can't see. So Squawker sees visiting an aquarium.
Yeah, I'll squawk it. Again, aquariums, it's one of those things where, like, you don't get to do this very often. But when they're around, they're a lot of fun. And I went to an aquarium, I think, once as a kid on a field trip. And I, like, barely remember it because I have the memory retention of a colander. So, that being said, we have missed out on, like, going to a couple of aquariums in the cities we've gone to together. You provided some very nice content from the aquarium when you went to Atlanta, which I heard is a very nice aquarium from all my friends that have been there.
Unbelievable, breathtaking.
And I heard, and I will let you know I'll let you know how the aquarium in New Orleans is because I plan on going while I'm there.
Yeah, you're gonna go without me. You're just not a good friend. It's fine.
Why don't you come with us then?
Maybe I will.
Okay, yeah, maybe you can. We'll figure it out.
All
right, that's fine. Yeah, I love the aquarium, so I'll squawk that. Fish are cool, man. Fish are so cool.
Yeah, I like sharks.
All right,
I like sharks.
All right, this I really like sharks. This will be the last one for the night. I'm gonna squawk or seize.
I have one more.
All right.
One more each.
One more each. All right, squawk or seize getting drunk in public.
Oh, well, have you met me, brother? You know what? You know what's crazy, though? Ever since I started back into the gym and get on this fitness kick, I haven't really been drinking that much.
You look good, by the way. I meant to tell you that. You're looking nice.
I appreciate that, buddy. Thank you. I'm trying to keep my figure, dog. But
your head's so huge, but you know your body's looking strong. So
listen, don't talk about big heads with me. You got the biggest friggin' head, dude.
Facts.
But yeah, I love getting drunk in public, man. Especially on vacation, especially in somewhere warm, and the vibes.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I get off the plane, I'm like, hand me a friggin' beer right now. You know? Like, someone pass me a beer. I'm ready.
Yeah, I think taking advantage of the city's like open open container laws is is great. And Bourbon Street was a lawless land. Just being able to walk outside with like beers in your hand is nuts. So that's
insane.
Always a lot of fun.
It feels so illegal, and it's just.
But it's not. That's the crazy part. It's nuts.
Yeah. So I'm squawking that a million times to the moon every day of the week. Every day that ends in Y. That is on vacation. That is my big MO. Let's get absolutely silly. All right. So for my last one, Kyle, I'm gonna give you a kind of this or that question. You know, I always like to throw these in there.
I'm listening.
It's not as fun as yours, but squawk or seize. Squawk one, seize one. Staying in an Airbnb or a hotel.
Ooh, okay, this is interesting. Because this is the first time I'm staying in a hotel. Because for context, George and I obviously we like to travel in pairs. So we usually stay in an Airbnb together. I'm staying on vacation in New Orleans longer than George is, and I'm also staying with my girlfriend. So I have a hotel. I will say, I'm a big Airbnb truther. So I'm going to squawk an Airbnb for the sake that I am more comfortable staying in an Airbnb, because I feel like I get better bang for my buck. I like the privacy of an Airbnb. I feel like one of the best perks of like a hotel is the continental breakfast, which is cool depending on where you stay. Depending on where you stay at,
or room service too,
or room service, which is like the room service isn't even that big of a deal when I'm staying in an Airbnb versus a hotel because my room's gonna be a mess most of the time anyway. So someone's gonna clean that up at some point, whether it's me or the cleaning staff that comes in to do it. Missing out on continental breakfast isn't that big of a deal for me because I'm never up that early to begin with anyway, unless I'm going to Pokemon tournaments. So I think just because I am much more of an Airbnb-er, I'm going to squawk the Airbnb and seize the hotel. That being said, in a YouTube video I watched recently, the Holiday Inn Express ranks second amongst like entry-level hotel chains in terms of their breakfast. So I'm very excited for continental breakfast in the morning.
The one thing I just want to add about it too, you know, I stay in a lot of hotels for work, right? So like for me, when I go on vacation and we are with a group, I think Airbnbs are just so much better because you have that kind of, like I grew up, you know, in my 20s living here in North, down the shore, you would get like share houses,
Yeah.
and like it's the closest thing I have to that still today, and it's just like waking up and like hungover and I sort of like, what the fuck happened last night? Like that, like there's nothing better than that. In a hotel, it's not the same feeling. Like you get ready and shit, whatever, and you all meet down in the hotel lobby and everybody's like, but like waking up and like just getting out into the living room, everybody's just like, huh, last night, am I right? like that's like I don't know. There's something special about that with Airbnbs or like just renting houses in general that you just don't get in a hotel. And for me, it just makes it so much more fun and memorable.
I'll tell you what I'm not going to get in a hotel is you and Andrew wearing just jeans, drinking beer without shirts on, playing Pokemon in a kitchen table. That's poetic. You're not going to get that in a hotel lobby. You're not going to get
Beer's
that.
awesome. Friggin' love beer.
Friggin' love beer. Yeah, Airbnbs are fun. I'm with you. I like the camaraderie of it. Just being able to like wake up in the morning and talk. Just be hungover with your friends is an experience.
Die on the couch together. Like shit. What happened last night? You guys remember this? Yeah, like it's the best.
George did what last night?
George gave a lap dance last night. Yeah.
What? That did happen. It did. We'll tell that story next time on the podcast. That's what we call in the industry a tease. Yeah. So, George, as always, pleasure to talk with you. Again, we'll try to have an episode out next week. I cannot promise anything. My travel schedule is turbo fucked next week. If we can maybe find a way to stream from the Airbnb on Wednesday night for the fans,
could be cool.
We can figure what was.
Thursday night.
Yeah. We'll see what we're doing. We'll figure something out.
Well, we're blogging too, though.
That is true. Yeah, we are gonna have the vlog. The vlog will be coming out. Probably.
I always say blog. I'm such a boomer. Vlog.
Yes, you're ancient. I can accelerate an energy to you because you are an ancient Pokemon, old man. Yeah, but the vlog will be coming out next week. We are vlogging in New Orleans. I'm really excited for this one. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So I hope you guys are excited. That being said, if we don't have an episode out next week, if you see us, come say hi. We would love to meet fans of the show, or if you're or for like mutuals on Twitter and we haven't met each other, please come up and say hi. I would love to put names, faces to the names. So.
Yep.
All right, George, let us know where they can find you. So
you can find me on the X platform, formerly known as Twitter, at PonyBottleChamp, PNYPTL Champ, @ in front. I will definitely be posting all the way up to NAIC. And Kyle, where can we find you, Mr. Koopa?
You can find me at on Twitter.com, Instagram, across platforms at KoopaNJ, and obviously here on Twitch. I try to stream at least twice a week. But yeah, I do Pokemon stuff, and I have a new adopted son, Arthur. He's going to be in a lot of. I'm taking him with me to New Orleans. I hope you know this. He's coming with me, so.
I'd be offended if you did.
We're gonna have a party. He's gonna be my table buddy. You got to bring a table buddy, George. You can't.
No, absolutely not. Over my dead body.
That's gonna be it for this week's show, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, draw 6. We'll see you next week. Good night, everybody.
Deuces.